All right. Good morning, team. Welcome to the Locker Room Flex Friday or Friday Flex. Today, we're joined by Coach Mike Greer. I can't wait to introduce him, where you guys can get a little background on who he is and what he means to football. I'm Thomas Rowe, and this is my host, Aaron Charles. And every Friday, we have a segment, which is basically we kind of wrap up the week of current events. And of course, we couldn't go this week without talking about the NFL draft leading up to it. Really no surprises in the first round, but what we do want to do is we want to pick Coach Greer's brain, his football mind about everything football. We want to talk about some of the bust. We don't want to spend a lot of time talking about the past bust, but we also want to talk about the athletes who've come in the later rounds who have made an impact in the NFL and become household names where you didn't know anything about them in college. So on that note, I'm going to turn it over to Coach Greer. He's going to tell you a little bit about himself, and then we'll get right into last night's draft. Coach Greer, welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing? Thank you. I appreciate it. Real little about myself. You know, I played, scouted in the NFL and played college ball, All-American at University of Pacific, small school. Went on from there, got territorially drafted by the USFL at the time, the LA Express. Then got picked up by the Raiders. I'm from Oakland, longtime Raider fan, and my uncle played for the Raiders, Jack Tatum. So, the biggest thing for me is, I played, scouted, coached in the NFL in the minority program that the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Rooney program, and been there, done that, scouted, worked for some good agents. Major thing is, looking at this draft, it's, let me throw some numbers at you first. Since 2015, just so you can get some perspective, 38% of the first round draft picks probably are still, they made it. Yeah, only 38%, but then within the same time frame in the years, the round from 4 to 7 is 65% of the guys maintained at least 8 to 15 years, playing. And that just goes to show you, getting drafted is like a popularity contest. I'll put it to you like this. It's like the NBA All-Star game. NBA All-Star game, we all know is bullshit. The fans pick the players. So it's kind of like what happens in this NFL draft is where the most popular guys go first. But that doesn't mean that those guys are going to have the longevity. Some guys play 2 years, 3 years. Some guys play 4 years, and then they're out. But the guys from the 4th to 7th round, that's why when you look at the draft now, look at it in a different perspective with these numbers I just gave you. Start looking at the kids that get drafted in the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th round. Those are the guys that really stay because those are the best of the best in, Division I AA, Division II, Division III, NAIA. Those guys are the best players in their respective divisions and leagues and level of play. And then you look back at the first rounders. Those guys are the most popular guys from the Ohio States, the USCs, the Alabamas, and I'm not saying that they are not the best players, but statistics show who has the longevity. And that's the most important aspect. So when you're looking at things, look at the whole picture. Don't just get enamored by, God, he's 6'7" and he's 340 pounds and he bench press, 225, 35 times. But see, when you look at camp, you're like, where'd he go? Or, and some of these guys are not used to sitting and watching. And some of the guys get lost mentally in the shuffle of the NFL because those are grown men that you're trying to come in and take their job. Ain't no NIL in NFL. It's just the NFL stands for not for long if you're not ready. So, you have to be, ready. And if anybody out there just got drafted, listen to this, remember, NFL, not for long. So, and there's no NIL. That money, is short term if you don't create your own value.
Wow, those are incredible stats. You and I talked about that off camera a couple of days ago, and I definitely wanted you to bring it up. That's remarkable. Look, we got to address the white elephant in the room. Like, we all know about Jamarcus Russell. We all know about Ryan Leaf and Achilles Smith and all these guys that were first round draft picks. That kind of just, for lack of a better term, we'll call them a bust. Coach, what do you think it really takes to make it in the NFL? Because once you get to the NFL, everybody's great, right?
Mm-hmm. It's funny. I watched when I watched the draft. I looked at a lot of some of the faces, like the big DN from Miami, and he was Baines. He was pissed off because he went 15th, and he was projected to be in the top 5. So he's angry, And I think when you're coming into the NFL, you have to come in with the mindset of, I'm going to learn. I'm going to try to learn from the veterans. I'm going to, try to really learn how to be a pro athlete, because ain't nobody going to be going to your dorm, knocking on your door and say, hey, it's practice. You got to be ready. The NFL is, you better set 3 alarm clocks. If you got to be in training, in the weight room at 7, you better be there at probably 6:30 or 6:15, because you want to be first, because nobody's going to baby you. You're not going to ask you to, hey, you want to go to dinner with us and help get these recruits? NFL is not like that.
Right.
NFL is grown ass man league, where you have to grow up and be a grown man. Make sure you do your workouts. Make sure you take care of your nutrition. Make sure you take care of your body. The team's going to have people for you to help you do that, but it's an individual thing where you have to get yourself, preservation. You have to be ready. Right. You have to be ready to join a bunch of grown men with one goal, and that's to win and get to the Super Bowl. It's not about how much money you make. You're going to make money, but it's the longevity and how you represent yourself as a person, as an athlete. Everybody's gonna judge you. You can't. They got about 20 shows on ESPN that just sit there and just judge you. This draft process. What the hell they've been doing for 2 months, judging you.
Yeah.
And if you don't understand that, and you think, well, I don't care what they say, then you's a fool,
right?
Because they watch everything you do. I ain't gonna mention no names. The coach from New England, they watch everything you do. So get ready for criticism, but also be prepared for criticism. And then, your reaction to that is going to tell what type of person and what type of athlete you're going to be in the NFL.
Well, clearly, let's talk about the first round draft pick, Mendoza. Obviously, the Raiders were making moves early on when they traded for Kirk Cousins. I think that was a brilliant move. Kirk Cousins is a proven veteran. He's not a distraction. He's a man of faith. He's a family man. He's not going to be taking Mendoza out, hitting all the clubs and so forth.
Right.
That was probably, that's the best thing you could do as a quarterback, because, we've seen some of the most amazing quarterbacks. Joe Burrows, he was lighting it up at LSU, but he didn't have a mentor. He was just thrust right in. Mm-hmm. Your Peyton Mannings, your Eli Mannings, people don't remember that they had his dad. Right? They had Archie Manning that was preparing them since high school. So what do you think Kirk Cousins is going to do? You said you're a lifelong Raiders fan. You played for the Raiders. What do you think this means for Cousins and Mendoza?
I think it's a great match. I think it's a thing where it's almost like, in a stretch, it's like the Steve Young, Joe Montana thing, where he learned from the greatest, And, like I said, I'm from Oakland, man. I love the Raiders. But the 49ers, you cannot knock during that period their greatness, their longevity, and what they did. And Joe Montana, really showed the athlete under him, Steve Young, how to be a champion, how to prepare, how to handle, the press. It's one of those things where Mendoza is a very likable person. He's a very God-fearing man, and he does the right things. He's of age. What is he, 24, 25?
Right.
And, he's been there and done that. And the thing is, he's going to come in without an ego. because he
Right.
don't need one.
Right.
You know, you're talking about right now probably, you know, and I'm not going to say one of the worst teams in the NFL, but, you know, they're not at the top. And, you know, and the thing is, that's why you draft number one. But the thing is, I mean, their platform is huge. Their organization is monster. The facilities are dominant. I mean, so he's coming into a situation where there's not anything he's going to need. He could walk into the facility butt naked and he'll have everything he needs to be successful: the training, the evaluation, you know, the learning tools. And then you got Kirk Cousins, who is a proven, you know, veteran, a proven winner. So he's somebody that can mentor this kid, and they're not going to rush him in there. Only thing I hate is that, you know, one of my old coaches is not going to be there to help. You know. So you know, Pete Carroll. I played for Pete Carroll.
Oh,
so,
wow.
You know, it's kind of, you know, bittersweet, but you know, it's great to see. I you know, a couple of the game that I did last year. You know, one of my idols, who I grew up knowing, and I know him pretty well, you know, is Freddie Belindikov. We talked for a little bit, and I know he's going to be excited,
right?
And he's going to be excited to come, you know, come see the Raiders play, because I know he hated it when, you know, we were up there, the 49ers were playing against the Raiders. He was like, "Look at all that red in the stands, man." I hate this. But he's going to have fun, you know. So it's going to be a great move. And Mendoza, he looks like he has no ego, because he had, what is he, what, three different colleges,
yep.
You know, 2 or 3 different programs. So he knows how to come in, fit in, and then he knows that the work that he puts in is going to overshadow anybody being like, well, why does he get a chance? Well, this is why, you know,
right.
National champion, you know, undefeated. So all those things.
Awesome. Do you think there was any surprises in the first round for you, or any disappointments, players that dropped? Or I mean, I know you mentioned it was a popularity contest, but any surprises for you?
You know, I think they did a good job this year of going towards their needs. I think, you know, they made some people made some good moves early. You know, it's really something to look at when you see how many offensive linemen went. You know, that is security. You know, that right there shows that, okay, we got to get our line fixed, so that everybody else can be successful. I know Gentry's happy because the Raiders picked up, you know, another big lineman, and you know, you have to be cognizant of what helps you win. You know, getting the pretty thing is not always the best. You better get something that's functional. So I don't think there's a lot of big surprises. You know, I think that people are making strategic moves to better their opportunity to win. And that's what's big. And some of the kids were disappointed. Like I said, Baines, he didn't go, you know, in the first 15, but hell, he's from Florida and he went to Tampa Bay. I mean, you know, sometimes you got to look at the logistics of things.
Yep, no doubt. You know, you were talking about a popularity contest, and but here's some interesting stats that I just pulled up. We all know about Tom Brady that went in the 6th round. Roger Staubach went in the 10th round. I don't know. Joe Montana slipped to the 3rd round, and Deacon Jones, fearsome foursome, he went in the 14th round. I mean, it's pretty incredible. So, you know, that being said, like, we all know about the Tom Bradys that have lasted into his 40s. Other than ego and other than learning from the veterans, what do you think it takes to have a long career in the NFL? Besides, also, I mean, staying injury free.
Well, I think you have to progressively get better. You have to challenge yourself. If I was a rookie coming in right now, what I would do is tag on to these veterans. You know, just really look at what they do. Really look at their film study. If they don't film study, I'd be film studying, because I don't know nothing. I'm coming into your program, and all I know is I have a nice new hat that with the logo on it, and then NFL on my shoulder, and now I have responsibility. So, you know, when you have responsibility, you must adhere to that responsibility. You must get in there and do the work. There is no such thing as, well, the weight room was locked or the facility is locked. No, you're going to have your own ID. You're going to have a badge. You scan it. You go in there. And don't think that they don't know that you're in there, because once you scan it, That's a paper trail showing, okay, this rookie, wow, he was in there at 7 a.m. or he was in there at 5 a.m. Take care of your body and then take care of your knowledge. From right now, if you were a first rounder, get into that playbook. Do not go out partying and say, hey, I deserve this. Do it moderately, do it with your family, but then you got to get in that playbook because guess what? They probably already have a limousine or something coming to your house, picking you up. They're going to put you on a plane and fly you out to the facility and announce you to the, to all the coaches and all the fans. They're going to be in the airport and they're going to be there and they're going to be happy to see you because this NFL is a big deal. So, the number one thing is, have fun with it, but get focused. Yep. You always talk about, I'm going to come in and make an impact and, I'm going to really do this and do that. We'll do it. Don't just talk about it. Talk about it, be about it.
Yep. One of the things, to our team out there that's watching, one of the things I appreciate about Coach Greer is he's old school. We've known Coach Greer now for about a year. And one of the things we always bond about is just how he just keeps it real. Because right now, one of the things I've always appreciated about sports is that it's the last frontier of meritocracy. We don't care what color you are. We don't care how big you are. We don't care how much you could bench. If you could play, you could play. And you touched on film. One of the best pieces of advice that was ever given to me was that we don't just study film, we study habits, right? Mm-hmm. So when you're watching film on your opponent, like if you know he's going to pick his nose before he picks his nose, then, you've got yourself an advantage. For a lot of people at home just watch football on Sundays and Monday nights or Thursday. What is the difference between watching film and studying habits, Coach?
Well, it's funny that you say that because when, with our company, we deal with free agents and we deal with up and coming players, whether it's high school or whether it's pro. And my biggest thing is, when people, we ask them, well, we need to see film of you. And I do evaluations and I evaluate athletes from top to bottom. I did that when I was with Blesto. And the biggest thing is somebody wants to send me, a highlight tape. Highlight tape is a highlight tape. It's going to show your best attributes. It's going to show everything that you do that's great. But one of the second things I ask him, okay, I want a 3 to 5 minute highlight tape of you. That's great. But do you have any practice footage?
Right.
Do you have any footage of you in practice? And do you have any footage of you doing drills? That is the best way that you can be evaluated because it shows what you do every play, your consistency. This shows, do you change up? It shows, do you dip your shoulder? When you pass rush, do you always go with the dominant hand? Do you, when you're on the D line, do you bench press people or do you get rid of them? Hand play, offensive lineman, your kick slide. Do you go for the first move? Do you kick slide straight back or do you take an angle? And that's what a lot of these defensive linemen, the best coaches was the best D line coach was the coach from Miami, ex-NFLer. And he was a monster. He played for the Dolphins. He's HOF. And he's great because he was an undersized lineman. I can't remember his name. He's like 6'5", but he only played at maybe 265, 270. And he's the head coach of Miami Hurricane, and he played for the Miami Dolphins. And he just taught them to, like you said, in practice, read what your opponent does.
Right.
See when he blocks down. When an offensive tackle down blocks, does he lean to the where he's going? Does he show it? When he's pass blocking, is he back on his hand? When he's run blocking, does he have pressure on his hand? And that's what D linemen look at. So a D lineman, does he hedge to where he's going? Does he angle off to where he's going, or is it a drop step, or is it an angle? So those are the things you got to watch as a DB. The first thing, I want to look at is what your stance is like when you come up. What's your attitude like when you come up? Because receivers are different animals.
Right.
If they're going to run long, you're going to come up slow, he's going to come up and, kind of like gesture and get ready. And then, so he wants you to relax. What does he do? He's gone.
Right.
Runs right past you because you've relaxed. As far as a DB, can you tell when he's pressing you or when he's going to back off? Can you tell if he's lined up to the inside, is he baiting you to run an out, or is he trying to take away your inside route? So those are things that, you really, you want to really look at in your film study. Look at your opponent's practice, look at what they do well. And then you try to take that away because you don't give them an option. So
right.
Those are some of the things when you're looking at film.
I mean, this is remarkable because it really is, if you think about it, it's a chess match, right? So for the average, fan watching at home, they're just enjoying the game and cheering for their favorite team and have the jersey with their, but it is a chess match out there for sure.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these guys, Coach, are not going to get drafted. We've already started to talk. And as a matter of fact, my phone is lightened up where a guy, he's like, sorry, Coach, I didn't get, I'm not going to get any looks. I'm not going to the NFL. He's already deflated. He's already deflated. I mean, we already talked to him. We knew he wasn't going to get drafted. We call him an outlier or a long shot, right?
Right.
So a lot of these guys, if they don't go to the NFL, are there other options for players? I mean, we know about CFL, UFL, but what other options do players have?
Well, to put that in perspective, like we've talked about before, 264 get drafted in 7 rounds, 264.
That's it.
Last pick, Mr. Irrelevant, is I think 264, 265. Another 100 will probably get invited to a rookie minicamp. Okay. They'll get an invite. Okay. But when you look at the class, there's 26,000 seniors every year.
Damn.
26,000 seniors. That's a lot of numbers. So there's not 26,000 teams out there. But what you have to look at is, okay, I did not get drafted. Now we're on a different path and a different journey. My job, I am a free agent. You are a professional free agent now, or you're an undrafted free agent. You're an undrafted rookie. So now you're in a different demographic. Do you stop? Do you get inflated? Hell no. This is a lifetime dream. So what you want to do is make yourself available. Make yourself available. Let's, contact us, because what we do, we contact, player personnel. We contact scouts for you. If you have an agent and he is not listening to this closely, if you have an agent and he does not give you that next step, he doesn't tell you, hey, keep grinding, let's keep this thing up. You check in with your agent. The reason why you have an agent, because he's your representation.
Right.
Okay. And if you continue to work out hard, you make calls yourself, and you get a tryout, why should you pay your agent 5%?
Right.
If you have not created value and you did not get drafted, then you should not have an agent, realistically, because anything that you do on your own, he's going to get paid for.
Sure.
So you got to be smart about that whole process. I'm not saying anything bad about agents. There are some good agents out there. If the agent is going to grind for you, then, hey, let's grind together. Call us. We'll help you. We'll do presentation for you.
Sure.
Let him do representation.
Yep.
But the thing is, don't give up. Call me. Let's talk. Let's train. Let's see let's give me evaluation. I'll give you an evaluation of yourself. So that'll tell you how pro teams are looking at you. Where are you lacking? And sometimes it's not lacking. It's numbers.
Sure.
It's just numbers. It's where you came from, what you did while you were there. Maybe you were hurt early, and so those are things. Those are variables. But it's not over. Like I said, a company like ours will help you with your presentation and your training and your evaluation and your placement. Those are things you got to look at. It's not over, and we're here to catch you.
Yep.
We're here to catch you. I didn't see one player from HBCU get drafted yet. I know you weren't going first round. So, that's another dynamic, or Division III, Division II, so keep your head up.
Right on. Let's give the audience a quick breakdown, because, everyone thinks about football, NFL, then they think about Canada, then they think about UFL, then there's arena, and then there's ball overseas. Just like a quick minute breakdown. We know about the NFL. Tell us in a minute or less about the CFL, and then about UFL, and then about arena, and then overseas.
CFL has 9 teams, and they have restriction on how many Americans they can keep. So that right there is like lotto. That's lotto. UFL is I started watching UFL a lot more this year because the talent level is great. It's a great alternative to the NFL. It's a great alternative to the NFL. So keep that in mind. The ELF overseas, there are some great teams over there that you can get in, get some good film, and get out. There's the LFA in Mexico. So that's a good organization to get some film and get out. Don't be unrealistic about what you need to do. You need to be in there. If you go in there, you better be the best player possible. The X League in Japan is a good league, tough to get into, but we have connections in there. So your main goal is to get in and get out in 1 year.
Right.
Get some dominant numbers. When you go there, you can't go there and just think, because I'm in France, I love France, this is great. You better be the best and most dominant player there. Arena football is a very acquired taste. It's a tough place. It's a great place for linemen, O-line and D-line, because you have to really show your skills, because you have a 3-step drop.
Wow.
3-second drop. So everything is on the quickness level. It's good for receivers, good for quarterbacks, O-line, D-line. Linebackers, it's tough because, you're coming in and you're always catching. DBs is tough because you're always catching. And, that's pretty much the breakdown of, what's out there for you.
That's awesome. So much of that I didn't know about. But then when you were talking about the arena ball, how it's such a 3-second drop. I mean, it's moving fast, and that's pretty awesome. Coach, the NFL and colleges, they need a yardstick. How important is, because we hear this, I've got the final 2 questions and then we'll let you go. We hear from a lot of players and families, how important is the 40, the vertical, the bench press, all the different scenarios that you go through for the combine? How important is that?
It's amazing. I talk to athletes through the year. I try to talk to athletes in August, September, of their, freshman, junior, especially if you're going into being a senior. And, I ask them, what's your 40? Coach, I haven't ran a 40 since I was a freshman. The number one thing you're going to be judged on, when you go to the combine or when you have a pro day, is your 40. Right. You got to be smart about that. Your 40 is what you're going to be judged on. Your bench press, you're going to be judged on your vertical, your shuttle, your L drill. These are all the marks of which NFL judges you. So you have to keep that in perspective. Don't look at it as something that, it's something I have to do. Why do you think the University of Ohio, all those guys run 4.3, 4.4? It's because they do it every day.
Right.
They train. They don't train, they don't train in like August a little bit. And then now we won't do it again until November. Nah, that don't have, you don't run a 4.4 at 6'4 or 6'5 and 230 pounds or 240 pound linebackers, or, that's something you have to do every day.
That's right.
Your bench press, make sure you keep your numbers at find out what the NFL average is and work off the NFL average. You don't have to hit it, but you need to be close to it. Those things are so important. That's how you're judged.
Right. I'll never forget, we were doing a webinar a couple of weeks back where we had a couple of players on. And I remember you asked some of these guys, what's your 40, what's your bench? And they were hemming and hawing, and you broke it down. If you're running a 4.7, you've got to tell me 4.5, and then you got to get out there and work on it. Because right. one of the things that you told me told this individual that I thought was amazing, no one at any point is going to say, okay, take off your jeans. Let's go. Let's run right now. Right. You don't want to fake it till you make it. You don't want to lie outright. If you're running a 5.3 and say you run a 4.6, right. You're going to get exposed on that one. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, these are perishable skills. And you talked about it, we had a DB that's like, I'm not worried about my 40 because, I've got great closing speed. I could, when are you going to ever run 40 yards straight? And I'm like, okay, this is what you're getting judged on. The NFL has a yardstick and you got to play their rules. It's as simple as that. They are the ones, the house always wins, right? It's just kind of like Vegas. The house always wins. Coach, one of the questions that Aaron and I get all the time from players as well as families, What does it take to go to the league or the NBA or MLB? What's the secret sauce? What's the magic bullet? And before I let you answer, what our response is, there is no secret sauce. What we tell you can't do is you can't cut corners. There's no shortcuts. You can't just check a box. And lastly, you've got to embrace the process. Delayed gratification. If someone was sitting across from the table like I am right now from you, Coach, what would you tell them? Like, what's the secret sauce? What's the magic bullet?
There was a term when I was coaching at St. Mary's College, by Vincent White. Vincent White was the head coach. He's an ex-Stanford guy, big time player. And his motto was nothing's bigger than the process.
Right.
And you must understand what the process is. The process is working hard. The process is being consistent with your workout, with your body, your regimen, not staying up late all the time, not drinking or smoking all the time. Those things are bad. They're not good for you. But the thing is, you have to prepare yourself like every day is game day.
Right.
Every week is game week. And you have to get yourself on a regimen. And it's like, you don't need to go to a YouTube video and see what somebody else's is. Find out what yours is. It's very individualized. Like I just told you, prepare your body, your meals, your strength, but also watch film of your opponent. See what other guys do that is good. Steal it. Anybody's idea is not good unless somebody else has stolen it. Right. So, if nobody else is using your ideas, guess what? You probably the only one doing that bullshit. Yep. So you got to be realistic on, God, that guy does that well. And then you have to incorporate that. I have grandsons that play football and basketball, and they're rated in the state. And I got granddaughters that play soccer. And I tell them all the time, one of my granddaughters' favorite player is Rodman, from the USA team. Steal everything she does. Mimic what she does because she's great for a reason. Because she stole it from somebody else.
Right.
Just like the NFL players. Look and see what your history, what was. Right. Because if you don't know what your history is, you ain't gonna know what your future is. So, and you're in the middle of both. So, it's not a struggle. It's like I gotta look at who was great before me. Muhammad Ali, Jim Brown, Walter Payton, Joe Montana. You got to look at who was great. What did they do? And you go, wow, Jerry West, what did he do? Larry Bird, Julius Erving. You got to look at the greatness of what they did. Right. And, everything else, whatever they did in their lives, don't worry about that. Look at what made them great, because those are the pinnacles. Those are the highest numbers.
No question. And my last comment before I close out is, just because you can play at college doesn't mean you can play at the NFL, right? It's an entirely different game. In 60 seconds or less, and we'll get you guys back to your workday, and Coach will let you get back to what you're doing. Aaron, who are you most excited about watching that's coming out of college in the NFL?
Ooh, gosh. You better go with Mike Greer. You put me on the spot. I've been listening the entire time attentively, so I'm like, oh, shit.
Coach Greer, who are you excited about watching at the next level?
It's a couple. This hasn't been the year of the running back in a long time. I think Love is going to come in and expose some people. Some of the big linemen, the kid from Utah, the kid from Miami, the big monster from Alabama. I mean, what's he call himself? Crispy? He went first round. I mean, I like to see people movers. I like to see people that come in and dominate. I want to see what Mendoza does. Right. Receivers from, USC, UCLA. I like to see that DB from San Diego, your school, from San Diego State. Right. I want to see what he does. I just want to see success of these guys. Instead of, don't come in with an attitude, come in with latitude, come in growing, come in understanding where you are, but you understand where you want to be. So that's going to be fun.
Yep. And Aaron, do you have any? Did you think?
I do. I would just add, the only thing I'd add, I want all of them to succeed. You want these guys to win.
Right.
And so you have to stay humble. You haven't made it yet. So you got to keep working. You got to keep showing up. And I always like the hometown kids. So being here in Salt Lake City, I want the 2 Utes that got drafted, big old linemen. I want them to succeed and win. It's fun to have it in the hometown. You get to celebrate them. So pulling for those 2 guys.
Yeah, that's awesome. Before we close out, we were, I don't know if we ever shared this with you, Coach Greer. We had a guy that was drafted first couple of rounds. His rookie year, he got a ring with the Rams a couple of years ago.
Oh, wow.
And I said, you're basically, you're a top draft pick in one of the top rounds. Your rookie year, you win a Super Bowl. What's the difference? And he goes, it's a job. It's a job. And he just said, he goes, from high school, from Pop Warner, from college, it was always fun. It was a game. Now it's a job. And that's what these young kids have to remember is it is a job. No different than, working, when you just graduate college. With that being said, we'll let you guys get back to work, get back to work, pay the bills, get the skills to pay the bills. And Coach, we will see you soon. Aaron, thanks for your time. Coach Greer, thanks for your time. You guys have a great week.
Great. Thank you. Good luck, everybody.